Well, indeed, your heart and your soul is huge. And this community has felt the impact of it in many ways, some of them which they probably never know. Anyway, if you want to know something, give us a call at 407-774-8255. The great thing about live radio is you can be a part of it. And we look forward to those phone calls tonight. And please do keep that phone close by. We will play our Who Said That contest tonight, and it will be our traditional Who Said That contest. And it's a great little piece of understanding, shall we say, as far as our Who Said That contest goes. Before we really get rolling along here, and I'll give you a preview of the show and everything, I just want to mention a great friend of mine, dear friend Rita, who had to go and get some medical treatment today, and she's still receiving care, so we want to send our prayers and best wishes out to Rita so that she can come home, because she religiously listens to the American Adversaries and helps out behind the scenes. So I really hope that Rita will get better quick and get back in the saddle, as it were. All right. Let's see. Was the Pastor Cruz event today. I'll talk about that in a minute here. Carl Jackson is going to join us a little bit later on with his corner, and he's going to bring us up to date on how the candidates are doing on the social media, in particular with Facebook and Twitter. And just, hold on, there's a little robin swirling around inside the studio here. He just emerged out of Aubrey's top pocket.
I'm shutting mine up now just in case.
All right. We'll also be joined later on by Sunny, our California Glow Girl. And then tonight also, by popular request, we are going to play again an interview from our Wednesday show. Mike McMath and I had the opportunity to interview Robert Spencer, who's a great author and a very, how should I say, very well-schooled and educated Islamic expert, at least as infidels go. And he's written a great book called The Complete Infidel's Guide to ISIS. And Robert Spencer was on our show Wednesday for a couple of segments. We even went without the commercial break. So we're going to replay that interview in its entirety tonight at 6:35. Now, if you're listening on 1520 WBZW, you might want to go up to, or down the dial, I should say, to AM 660, because of the commercial breaks are still going to appear in the 1520, on the 1520 station. So we're just going to leave those in there, but we'll play the interview in its entirety. So if you want to stay at 1520, that's fine, but you'll have a commercial break in the middle of that interview, which otherwise would not be there. And we are not, the Rays wrapped it up early this afternoon in Toronto, and so we are on the big stick already. We're not being preempted from any of our stations because of Ray's post-game show, and I don't even know what happened because I was at the Pastor Cruz event today, so we'll find out what happened to the Rays. Interested. Last I heard, though, they were ahead in the game, but there was still a ways to go. As I said, tonight is the harvest moon, and there will be a full eclipse. Unfortunately, we won't be able to see it, and it's going to be a big treat because the harvest moon this time of year and this particular place in the moon's orbit around the Earth, the moon is actually going to appear about 15% bigger than it normally does. So I hope we get to see that treat tonight. But I tell you what, it was a real treat this afternoon, having lunch with and spending some time with Pastor Rafael Cruz and a bunch of other folks. I want to thank everyone who came out this afternoon and also this morning and last night to take advantage of Pastor Rafael Cruz, his wisdom and his advice. And it was excellent indeed. And it wasn't a sermon, but it wasn't a political, talk. It was a little bit of all that wrapped into one. And I tell you what, if Americans who were born and bred in this country knew as much about our history as Pastor Rafael Cruz, maybe we wouldn't be in this jam up right now.
Problem is they don't teach history at school anymore.
Especially if it involves spiritual matters or the church.
Right.
And, of course, he talks about that, but you know where he lays the blame? He lays it at the feet of the pulpit. because the churches have stood silent when the secular world has, in essence, made them obsolete. Pardon me. I'm still fighting off the last little bit of a cold. But the churches, for instance, in 1962 and 63, when they took prayers out of the schools and the reading of Scripture out of the schools, the church said, well, that's a political issue. That's not our business.
Well, that's part of the problem of complacency that we've got here with not just the church and the pulpit, but with Christians in general. They become so heavenly minded they know earthly good anymore. And so that they don't want to get involved in politics.
Right.
And so the devil makes hay while the sun shines, and you have everyone except Christians in political office telling us what we can and cannot do.
Yeah. And he talks about statistics, which we've talked about on this show numerous times, and that is that there are many Christians who aren't even registered, much less don't go out and vote. And so he is out there trying to motivate the pastors, to motivate their flocks, to get out and be more involved. In fact, it is our duty as Christians to be involved. That if we sit silent, then we are just as culpable, just as guilty of those who do the evil.
Exactly. You know, that's why Christ says that we are the salt of the earth.
But the salt is to preserve things.
Well,
but if we let if we let the foundation go into disrepair, what is there to lay salt on anymore?
Right. And if the salt loses its flavor, what good is it? Just only to be thrown out.
Right. So it was a very inspirational. I mean, the man is a very dynamic speaker. And no, he does not use notes, and he does not use a teleprompter. He has a slide projector that shows the points behind him. But he doesn't look back to see what's on the screen to know what to talk about. He just, I mean, it's a very, let's just say that you can see where the sun gets it. So I don't mean the sun in the sky. I mean S-O-N, his son, Ted Cruz.
So you're trying to tell me he doesn't have people writing his speeches for him?
Not exactly, no. And he said, for instance, today, it is us, and that is whoever, that'll have to answer to God for our silence. If we sit silent, and for instance, with, say, Planned Parenthood, if we accept, we can't win the political argument as a reason to sit silent and not try, then we will be just as culpable.
I agree.
And he said, also, I made a couple little notes here. You folks see, I write on anything I can get my hands on. This was my table card here today, and I've made some notes on it. He said also, it's our responsibility to warn the wicked. In other words, those who don't know Christ. It's up to them to decide what to do. Right? We can't make up the decision, but it's up to us to spread the message, to put out the warnings. If we do that, then we've done what we can do. But if we sit silently and don't do that, I'm talking about pastors, I'm talking about the flock, I'm talking about everybody. If you sit silently, then you are just as guilty of those who you either out of fear or respect or whatever refuse to stand up to and criticize or call out. So if you think somebody in this society is up to no good, it is up to you to say that out loud. Otherwise, whatever they're doing, you have put your stamp of approval right on it. That's why we scream out loud about things on this show. Don't go away. We'll be right back.